ka jap. And the power of the mantra based on some of the things that we just read. In the old days, you probably heard that our rishis, our holy men, our saints in the old days, they used to go on long pilgrimages, and they used to go to the Himalayas, they used to stand on one foot, they used to endure all of the difficulties, they would starve themselves. You've probably seen pictures of those, like Nilkanthvarni's journey. That used to be common. A lot of holy men and sadhus would do that, or even people who were really religious, who wanted to connect to God. But now in this day and age, how practical is that? Are any of you willing to take a year off from school and go to travel in India and travel barefoot and not eat and go stand on one foot and meditate and pray? It's hard, right? If we go without air conditioning one day, if it's a really hot day and we don't have air conditioning, we struggle, right? Or even if we skip a meal or two. How many of you are doing chaturmas? Anybody doing chaturmas? Has anybody fasted without eating a whole day? Okay. That's good. Was it hard or was it easy? It was easy. You're used to not eating? Well, you're rare. Most of us find it really hard not to eat, to skip meals. So what these saints were doing, we read a bunch of quotes from the different saints, from Sayadaw Dada, Yogi Bapa, Shastriji Maharaj, and others. And what they're telling us is that we've advanced, right? If you talk to your parents, they'll talk about in the old days in India when they had to travel around, they used to travel by bicycle from one village to another village. But they used to walk all the way to school. Now, in India they drive a scooter or we drive a car to go. In the same way, or a bus, they used to do in the old days. But now we've advanced, we've progressed. The roads are better, we have more access to vehicles and things like that. In the same way, we don't have to now do all of those austerities. We don't have to go and endure so much. Now we can use japa as a technique of chanting to do the same work, the same spiritual work inside. So it helps us a lot. So that's one of the important things about doing prayer. The other thing about prayer is that, as Harshadada said, we can do it intentionally. We can sit there in our morning puja. When you did your morning puja this morning here at the mandir, how many minutes did you do dhun for?
2 minutes.
2 minutes of dhun, right? They say that minimum we should do 2 minutes, but ideally we should do 10 to 15 minutes each morning of doing dhun. If we build up a practice of that, then it makes it easier for us to do dhun at other times of the day. As Harshadada was saying, you build up a habit of doing dhun. How does that happen? So when you do it in the morning, you do it for 10 or 15 minutes, and then let's say you have something special coming up during the day. So you have an exam or a test and you're nervous, you're worried about doing well, then a lot of us will pause and we'll do a little bit of dhun, right? Swaminarayan, 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 hey Sayadaw, please be with me, please help me remember everything I studied, please help me stay calm during the exam, please help me get a good result, right? Or let's say we're at school and somebody is picking on us, and we're a little bit scared, they're bullying us or something like that, and we're afraid and we're worried inside, or what are they going to say, what are they going to do, are they going to embarrass me, are they going to pick on me too much? Then a lot of times we can do Swaminarayan, 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 hey God, please protect me, please give me strength to endure this. In the same way, as you get older, you can start doing dhun every time you feel like you need God or your Guru's presence. So sometimes, let's say if you're going to work, or if you're in the car, or if you're in the shower, or if you're even having a conversation with someone. Sometimes, let's say it's somebody who's really difficult, somebody you have to deal with. Maybe it's somebody at school you have to deal with. Or for some of us who have to work with somebody that we might not feel comfortable with, while we're talking to them, in the back of our mind, we're going, Swaminarayan, 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 Swaminarayan. Help me remain calm, help me remain peaceful. God, please be with me, please speak through me. Please tell me what I should say, what I should do in this situation. It becomes like second nature. So that only comes with practice. And Sayadaw wants us to learn to develop that practice, but that starts now. It starts now how? Starts now from practicing it, but it also starts now from understanding what it is. What is the mantra? What? Yeah, don't mind that. It's a big trash truck taking all the trash that we have. So the mantra, we should know what it is, which we've been talking about for the last few days. We should know what its effect is, and start developing the practice of doing it. So in here it talks about some of the advantages of doing mantra. So it helps the power of our mind through concentration. How many of you who do japa or who chant the mantra have found that it helps you concentrate better? Okay, quite a few of you, right? We find that, like, if I have a hard time focusing my mind, or I'm agitated and I'm really worried, if I just sit there for a few minutes, Swaminarayan, 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 I remember Sayadaw, I remember Thakurji, I remember the mandir and how peaceful I feel, then it brings an automatic calm. And when we're calm, we can study better, right? We can concentrate better. So we've had experience with that. It transforms a negative attitude to a positive attitude. How many of you have had that experience where you're like really thinking negatively and then you do Swaminarayan, 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 and then you think positive? We've had that experience too. It gives you a different power, right? It shifts your track. So sometimes what happens is, like, let's say, sometimes, have you guys ever played like a game out in the rain? Like when it's like soccer or something like that, right? You played in the rain and we get muddy or we get sweaty and that type of thing, and we get dirty, right? When you're playing, you feel fine, right? You don't think about it. You're enjoying the game, so you don't worry about, okay, I'm dirty, I'm wet. But then what happens when you stop playing? You feel a bit yucky, don't you? You feel like really dirty. So then what do? What happens when you feel like really yucky and dirty? You take a shower, right? And once you wash the dirt off, how do you feel? You feel clean, right? You feel refreshed. The same thing happens in our mind. Think about it, when we're out with our friends and there's a lot of negative energy, let's say our friends are fighting amongst each other, they're saying bad things, or we're seeing bad things, then this becomes full, and we feel full of tension, we feel full of negativity. Well, we have to wash this mind. Can you take this brain out and wash it with some water and put it back in?
No.
You can't, right? So how do we wash our brain? How do we wash our minds? You do Dhun, right? You do Swaminarayan, 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 and you wash it out. You wash out the negative, you wash out the rubbish or the trash that's in your head, and it becomes clean. So switching from negative to positive, Dhun gives us that power. It develops fearlessness. A lot of times, like I was telling you earlier, we feel fearful, we're scared sometimes, we don't know what's going to happen. When we do Dhun, what are we doing? If you think about it practically, you're calling God's name. Sometimes if you're young, and let's say you remember when you were little kids, like even younger than you are now, and you were in a playground, and you fell down and you got hurt, or you needed something, what would you do? You would yell out mom's name, right? Hey mom! And she would come running. Dhun is the same thing. If you chant God's name, Swaminarayan, 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 where are you? Come down here, be with me. And when God is with you, do you feel any fear? Is anybody more powerful than God? No. So we call him to protect us and be with us. So it develops fearlessness. So there's a lot of different advantages to doing Dhun. But as Harshadada was mentioning, we need to do it with conviction. We need to do it with full faith. If let's say there's a bunch of kids I put you in charge of. They're playing a game like these. You know these little kids? What do they call them? Freshmen, right? So I give one of you the responsibility. Here's 10 freshmen to keep track of. Now you play with them. And if they need something, they'll come to you, or you take care of anything they need. Now, if the 10 freshmen are playing, and let's say a couple of them need you, and one of the freshmen is going, Haley, 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 and saying it loudly, that's one freshman. Let's say another freshman is going, Haley, Haley, Haley. Then which one are you going to attend to? The one's yelling out your name, right? You think, okay, this person really needs me. I'm going to pay attention to this one, right? The other one doesn't seem that serious, right? You're thinking, okay, they're okay. They don't really need me. They're just saying it. It's the same thing with God, right? If we're calling God and like, hey God, what's going on? You know? Or we're saying, oh God, I need you right now. You know? He's going to pay more attention to us if we show that we really need him. We say it with some passion. We say it with some energy, right? It's the same way. You know, when we chant God's name, if we're just doing Swaminarayan, 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 why would he pay any attention to us? It doesn't seem like we're like doing it mechanically, we're doing it half-heartedly. But if we're saying it with some conviction, Swaminarayan, 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 how can he ignore us? Right? So we have to learn to develop that. Like when we do it properly, like Harshadeva says. It doesn't matter necessarily how long we do it, but are we doing it with real intention? So if we learn the proper techniques to do it, we develop practice with it, it can be really powerful. If you talk to some of our senior leaders, they'll tell you how useful it's been. Sometimes it's been a lifeline, right? When you really need it the most, it's really come in handy. But it starts with practicing it. Sajananda Swami Maharaj Jai.